Beneath a velvet sky brushed with silvery starlight, nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, stood a small stone cottage. It had been there longer than anyone could remember, its walls softened by moss and ivy, its roof a cosy quilt of cedar shingles. Inside, the air was warm and fragrant, with the faint, earthy scent of pine, and a hint of lavender from the sprigs tied neatly by the hearth. The cottage belonged to Mara, a woman with gentle hands and quiet eyes, who lived alone but never felt lonely. She spent her days gathering herbs, knitting by the fire, and listening to the wind as it wove through the towering pines that stretched endlessly behind her home. The forest spoke, if you listened closely, a low hum, a quiet rustle, the soft creak of boughs swaying like sleepy dancers. Each night, before slipping into bed, Mara would sit in her rocking chair and sip a cup of chamomile tea. She'd listen to the forest's whispers, her heart slowing to match the rhythm of the wind. Tonight, however, there was a new sound, subtle, like a ripple across still water. It was neither alarming nor loud, just different. Curious, Mara wrapped herself in a thick woolen shawl, slipped into her boots, and stepped outside. The night air was cool, wrapping her in the familiar embrace of pine and moonlight. The forest seemed to be waiting. Mara followed the sound, her boots crunching softly on the pine needles that carpeted the ground. It led her to a narrow, winding path she hadn't noticed before, though she'd walked these woods 1,000 times. The pines loomed above her like gentle giants, their branches forming a canopy that shimmered faintly in the starlight. The path ended at a small moonlit clearing. At its centre stood a massive pine tree, ancient and gnarled, its roots spreading like veins across the forest floor. From within the tree's hollow trunk came a soft, rhythmic pulse, a sound like a heartbeat, steady and calm. Mara approached, her steps slow and deliberate, and placed her hand on the tree's rough bark. The sound seemed to travel through her fingers, up her arms, and into her chest, syncing her own heartbeat with the tree's. She closed her eyes and felt her thoughts quiet, her breath deepen, her entire being soften, and then, like a whisper carried on the wind, she heard it. Rest, child of the earth. You are home. You are safe. Mara stood there for a long while, her heart filled with a deep, abiding peace. The forest, she realized, was alive in a way she'd never fully understood. Its roots, its branches, its whispers. It held the secrets of time, and it shared them with those who knew how to listen. When she finally returned to her cottage, the fire in the hearth had dwindled to soft, glowing embers. Mara slipped into bed, her limbs heavy and her mind quiet, cradled by the lingering rhythm of the ancient tree's heartbeat. The forest hummed its lullaby, and Mara drifted into a deep, dreamless sleep, wrapped in the comforting embrace of the whispering pines. The morning light crept gently through the cottage windows, painting the walls with soft golden hues. Mara awoke feeling more rested than she had in years. The memory of the ancient tree lingered in her mind, not as a dream, but as a vivid, tangible experience. She could still feel the faint pulse of its heartbeat in her chest, as if it had become a part of her. As she rose and prepared for the day, something felt subtly different. The familiar motions of her morning, stirring the embers of the fire, brewing tea, opening the shutters, carried a heightened awareness, as if the world had sharpened in focus overnight. The song of the birds outside seemed clearer, the scent of pine and wildflowers richer. After breakfast, Mara decided to revisit the clearing. She wasn't sure why, but something about that ancient tree called to her, as if it had more to say. She gathered her basket and tucked a small notebook and pencil inside, along with a flask of water and some bread. The forest, she felt, might keep her longer than she expected. The path from the night before seemed even more distinct in the daylight, as if it had been carved anew. As Mara walked, the forest greeted her with its familiar embrace, though she noticed small changes, tiny mushrooms sprouting in the shadows, a wisp of spider silk shimmering like spun silver. It was as though the forest had awakened with her. When she reached the clearing, the ancient tree stood just as she had left it, its massive trunk bathed in sunlight. But this time she wasn't alone. A figure sat cross-legged at the base of the tree, cloaked in deep green robes that seemed to flow like water. Their face was obscured by a hood, but their presence was calm and unthreatening, like the forest itself. Mara paused at the edge of the clearing, unsure whether to approach. "You can come closer," the figure said, their voice smooth and soft, carrying the same cadence as the forest's whispers. "The keeper has been expecting you." Mara's curiosity outweighed her caution. She stepped forward, her boots crunching softly on the forest floor. "The keeper?" she asked, her voice quiet but steady. The figure stood, revealing a face lined with age but glowing with vitality. Their eyes were a deep, mossy green, full of knowing and kindness. They said, gesturing to the ancient pine, "It has stood here for centuries, holding the secrets of the forest. Few hear its call, and fewer still answer. But you did." Mara blinked, unsure how to respond. She hadn't thought of herself as special. "I heard something," she admitted. "A sound, like a heartbeat." The figure smiled. "That is the rhythm of life itself. The keeper shares it with those who are ready to listen. You've shown that you are attuned to the forest, to its stories and its wisdom." Mara felt a warmth in her chest, the same quiet resonance she'd felt the night before. "Why me?" she asked, almost in a whisper. "Because you seek without realizing you are seeking," the figure said. "The forest knows your heart. It sees your gentleness, your patience. It knows you are a caretaker, someone who listens and nurtures." The figure stepped closer, holding out a small object, a pendant carved from wood, shaped like a leaf. Its surface was etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and shimmer in the light. "Take this," they said. "It is a gift from the keeper, a token of your connection to the forest. It will guide you when the path seems unclear." Mara accepted the pendant, feeling its warmth against her palm. "What am I supposed to do?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Live as you always have," the figure replied. "Listen, observe. The forest will reveal its secrets in time. For now, trust in the keeper and in yourself." The figure stepped back, their form blending seamlessly into the shadows of the trees. Mara stood alone once more, the pendant hanging from her fingers like a fragile promise. As she walked home, the weight of the pendant felt reassuring against her chest. Questions swirled in her mind, but beneath them was a deep, abiding sense of peace. The keeper's gift was a reminder that she was part of something vast and timeless, a thread woven into the tapestry of the forest. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, Mara found herself smiling. She didn't need all the answers yet. The forest would guide her, one whisper at a time.